If you're over the age of 60, every bite you take and every snack you choose, even the ones marketed as heart-friendly, can quietly influence your long-term health. What if I told you that 9 of the most common nuts found in American homes today could be gradually increasing your blood pressure, interfering with your medications, straining your kidneys, or even triggering silent heart issues without you realizing it? As a cardiologist with more than 30 years of experience caring for older adults, I've seen countless patients come to my office confused and discouraged. They've done everything by the book, avoiding fried foods, staying active, drinking plenty of water, and swapping sweets for nuts. Yet their heart health still declines. The reason? Not all nuts are safe after 60, and when consumed incorrectly, in the wrong portions, at the wrong times, or alongside certain medications, they can quietly unravel the progress you've worked so hard to maintain. In this video, I'm going to share the 9 specific nuts older adults need to be cautious with, and what you can eat instead to truly nourish your heart. Stick with me, because what you discover here could quite literally save your life. And before we begin, if you haven't already subscribed, go ahead and hit that button and turn on the bell so you never miss out on new health advice created just for you. If you find this video helpful, type 1 in the comments. If not, type 0 and let me know how I can improve the content for you. 1. Raw almonds. When your kidneys are stressed and your heart bears the burden. For years, almonds have been promoted as the ultimate healthy snack. You see them celebrated in ads, recommended by nutritionists, and included in school lunches, trail mixes, and even senior meal programs. And yes, almonds can be good for you when eaten the right way. But what many older adults are never warned about is the downside of raw almonds, especially for those already facing high blood pressure, heart problems, or weakened kidney function. Here's the medical truth you won't hear in commercials. Raw almonds are loaded with oxalates, natural compounds that can accumulate in the kidneys. Younger bodies typically flush them out with ease. But after 60, and especially if you're taking medications for blood pressure, cholesterol, or thinning your blood, your kidneys slow down. They're no longer the tireless filters they once were. Instead, they become vulnerable, and raw almonds can quietly push them past their limit. Take the case of Mr. Leonard, 72-year-old retired school bus driver from Kansas City. He visited my clinic last autumn complaining of ankle swelling, shortness of breath, and a fatigue he just couldn't shake. His diet? Near perfect. He told me, "I haven't touched red meat in 5 years, doc. I walk daily. I eat almonds instead of dessert. I thought I was doing everything right." But his lab work told a different story. His creatinine levels pointed to early kidney dysfunction. His blood pressure was fluctuating despite medication. The cause? A hefty daily intake of raw almonds, often 2 full handfuls, which he believed were helping his heart, but were actually overloading his kidneys and causing fluid retention, which in turn was stressing his heart. It became a dangerous cycle, one that went unnoticed until damage had already set in. And the most frustrating part? No one had warned him almonds could be harmful. Marketed as heart healthy, he had no reason to doubt them. Here's what's really happening. Oxalate buildup increases the likelihood of kidney stones, stirs up inflammation, and disrupts your body's ability to manage fluids, driving up blood pressure. This puts added strain on your heart, which now has to pump harder against more resistance. It's especially risky in older adults with stiff arteries or fragile heart valves. Thankfully, Paul caught it in time. We had him cut back to a modest handful of blanched, soaked almonds just a few times a week, never raw and always with extra water. Within 6 weeks, his kidney function improved, his blood pressure came down, and most importantly, he felt like he could finally breathe again, physically and emotionally. So if you're over 60, take this to heart. Raw almonds aren't a guilt-free snack. They're powerful, and when eaten without thought, they can put serious pressure on your kidneys and heart. At this stage in life, your body needs less burden and more balance. That means understanding not only what you eat, but how much, how often, and in what form. And if something as seemingly healthy as raw almonds can quietly overwork your heart, imagine what could be happening with one of America's most popular salty snacks. A snack that looks healthier than chips, but may be silently raising your blood pressure every single day. Let's explore that next. If you're still watching and this is resonating with you, please comment with a number 1 to let me know you're here. Now let's continue to point number 2. 2. Salted cashews. The hidden sodium trap that's driving up your blood pressure. Crunchy, buttery, and irresistibly smooth, salted cashews have a way of feeling innocent. A small handful with afternoon tea or during the evening news doesn't seem indulgent. Compared to chips or bacon, they feel like a healthy choice. After all, they're just nuts, right? A natural alternative, a better-for-you snack. But here's what's crucial to understand. Once you pass 60, your body's ability to process salt changes dramatically. Those tasty salted cashews could quietly be putting dangerous stress on your heart. The cashew itself isn't the problem. It's actually packed with magnesium and healthy fats. But once it's roasted and salted, especially in bulk processing, it transforms into a surprisingly potent source of sodium. 1 ounce, a standard handful, can sneak in 200 to 300 milligrams of sodium. And let's be honest, most people are eating more than that without realizing it. Here's why that's risky. As we grow older, our kidneys don't work as efficiently. Our blood vessels lose elasticity, and our body's ability to eliminate sodium declines. As salt accumulates, fluid builds in the bloodstream. Your blood volume rises, blood pressure goes up, and your heart starts to work harder just to keep things running. This is how seniors who eat clean, stay active, and avoid processed foods still end up dealing with hypertension, or worse, heart failure. I'll never forget Mr. Walter, a 76-year-old former fire chief from Raleigh, North Carolina. He came in complaining of fatigue and chest pressure in the evenings. His numbers were troubling, 168 over 98, even though he was on medication. He didn't smoke, didn't eat out, and swore off added salt years ago. But when we dug into his habits, we found the culprit. Salted cashews every afternoon. Just a couple of small handfuls, but repeated day after day. Week after week, that added up to thousands of hidden milligrams of sodium, all from a snack he believed was protecting his heart. Here's what that salt was doing behind the scenes. It was pulling water into his bloodstream, raising the pressure inside his blood vessels, and overworking his heart muscle. This kind of strain leads to changes like thickened heart walls, left ventricular hypertrophy, irregular heart rhythms like atrial fibrillation, and eventually congestive heart failure. And the symptoms don't always announce themselves loudly. Sometimes the warning is just feeling a bit more tired, until the heart can't keep up anymore. We eliminated the salted cashews from Walter's routine and introduced a better option: raw, unsalted pistachios in measured amounts. Within 4 weeks, his blood pressure dropped, his clarity returned, and for the first time in years, he felt mentally alert again. He stared at me and said, "Doc, all this time I thought I was doing things right. I never imagined it was the cashews that were putting me in danger." And that's the most painful truth. You're not neglecting your health, you're trying. But the packaging, the routines, and the lack of clear guidance keep tripping you up. If you're over 60, you need to know that salt is sneaky, and your heart doesn't have room for surprises anymore. So before you grab that next salty snack, even if the bag looks clean and natural, ask yourself, is this taste worth the pressure it puts on my heart? But salt isn't the only threat hiding in your snack bowl. What if the nut you're eating for its brain benefits is quietly throwing off your heart's rhythm? Stick around. You'll want to hear what comes next. 3. Walnuts. The brain-friendly nut that might be throwing off your heartbeat. You've likely been told more than once, eat walnuts, they're good for brain health. And it's true. Walnuts are packed with omega-3 fatty acids, often praised for their ability to reduce inflammation and support cognitive function. But here's the part most people don't hear, especially older adults. Eating too many walnuts after the age of 60 can do more than raise your cholesterol. They can interfere with your heart's rhythm. The heart isn't just a muscle, it's also a finely tuned electrical system. It depends on balance, electrolyte levels, nervous system regulation, and hormonal stability. As we age, that balance becomes more delicate. Our hearts can't compensate the way they used to, and even healthy foods, when eaten excessively, can throw that rhythm off course. That's exactly what can happen with walnuts. These nuts are dense in polyunsaturated fats, which offer benefits when consumed modestly, but large amounts, especially when paired with common heart medications, can overstimulate the autonomic nervous system and lead to arrhythmias. That means irregular heartbeats, racing, skipping, fluttering, that may seem harmless at first, but for seniors could signal deeper issues like atrial fibrillation or even stroke risk. Younger individuals might never notice these effects, but for someone with aging arteries or an undiagnosed heart condition, it's a very different story, and often the beginning of something far more serious. I recall Mr. Marvin, a 73-year-old retired railroad technician from Reno, Nevada. He came to my office describing a strange feeling. My heart keeps jumping, like it's speeding up and stopping at the same time. No history of cardiac issues. He was active, sober, a non-smoker, but he had started heavily incorporating walnuts into his meals, sprinkling them into oatmeal, salads, smoothies, convinced it was helping protect his memory. We ran an EKG and hooked him up to a Holter monitor for 48 hours. The results showed frequent premature ventricular contractions, PVCs, and occasional episodes of atrial fibrillation. Nothing life-threatening yet, but clear evidence his heart was struggling to maintain a steady beat. I went through his diet and medications. No stimulants, no fish oil, no changes in prescriptions. Then came the real clue. I eat about 20 walnuts a day, Doc. That's good, right? For someone like Marvin, whose body had become slower at processing fats and more reactive to nervous system stimulation, it was too much. The heavy omega-3 load was pushing his system into overdrive, disrupting his natural heart rhythm. We scaled him back to just 3 walnut halves per day, eaten only with lunch. Within 2 weeks, the palpitations faded. After 6 weeks, his EKG returned to normal, and his memory still sharp. Turns out I didn't need a mountain of walnuts to stay focused, he joked. All my heart wanted was a little quiet. This is the takeaway. In your younger years, your heart could bounce back from almost anything. But after 70, it requires accuracy. What once helped you could now overstimulate or destabilize one of your body's most critical systems. And the most dangerous part? You may not even feel the warning signs until real damage is underway. So if you notice your heart feels off after eating, or you sense odd fluttering when lying in bed at night, don't ignore it. That's your body trying to speak to you. You just have to be willing to listen. Now, what if the nut you're eating isn't affecting your heartbeat, but instead is quietly thinning your blood and making even a minor fall potentially life-threatening? That's exactly what we'll talk about next. If you're still with me and these insights are helping, comment with the number 1 to let me know you're here. Now let's move into point number 4. 4. Flax seeds, the plant-based thinner that could quietly cause internal bleeding. Flax seeds seem to be everywhere. Marketed as a superfood, they're tossed into yogurt, blended into smoothies, and stirred into oatmeal in health-conscious kitchens across the country. If you're a senior aiming to lower cholesterol, ease digestion, or support your heart, someone has probably told you to start adding flax seeds to your daily routine. But there's a critical truth that's often left out. Once you're over 60, flax seeds might not be helping your heart at all. In fact, they could be putting you at serious risk without you realizing it. The key issue lies in a compound found in flax seeds called alpha-linolenic acid ALA, a plant-derived omega-3. While ALA offers some benefits, it also acts as a natural blood thinner. For younger adults with fast, efficient metabolisms, this isn't usually a concern. But if you're past 60, and especially if you're taking blood thinners like aspirin, warfarin, or Plavix, flax seeds can dramatically increase your risk of internal bleeding by intensifying those medications' effects. I think back to a patient of mine, Miss Teresa, 77-year-old former high school librarian from Portland, Oregon. She came in one morning looking pale and slightly confused, complaining of dizziness and that off feeling you just can't shake. She was doing everything by the book. Daily walks, plenty of water, no red meat. She even proudly told me she'd swapped her sugary cereal for oatmeal topped with flaxseed. My daughter says it's the new heart miracle, she beamed. But her blood work told a different story. Her hemoglobin was low, and her INR, a measure of how long it takes her blood to clot, was alarmingly high. She hadn't started new medications. She didn't drink. but she was bleeding internally, slowly, silently. The cause? A daily combination of baby aspirin and just 1 tablespoon of flaxseed, which she'd assumed was harmless. What shocked her most wasn't that she was bleeding, it was how quietly it had happened. No pain, no warning signs, just a slow erosion of her body's ability to heal itself. Her gut had become fragile, her blood vessels more breakable, and her blood too thin to respond to even a minor injury. A single fall could have turned into a medical emergency. We removed flax seed from her diet immediately. After stabilizing her blood work and adjusting her medication, she made a complete recovery, but the experience left her shaken. "I always thought if something's natural, it's safe," she told me quietly. "But I didn't realize I was combining food and medicine without meaning to. And that's the risk too many seniors face. Once you're on heart medications or blood thinners, every bite of food becomes part of your treatment. There's no line between your diet and your medicine cabinet. Flax seeds aren't inherently dangerous, but they're powerful. And power without understanding is risky. So if you're sprinkling flax into your breakfast bowl each morning, take a moment to reflect. Have I talked to my doctor about this? Am I considering all my meds? Am I honoring the limits of my aging body? Because food isn't just about calories anymore. It's chemistry. And after 60, chemistry has consequences, both healing and harmful. And if something as small as flaxseed can thin your blood to dangerous levels, imagine what happens when you eat a nut that loads your body with sugar, fat, and misleading labels, all while slowly clogging your arteries from the inside. You need to hear about this next one. It's probably sitting on your shelf right now. 5. Nut butters, the sweet, creamy spread that's silently clogging aging arteries. It's a staple in your kitchen. Spread over toast, blended into your smoothie, or scooped straight from the jar. Peanut butter, almond butter, cashew butter. They seem like a smart upgrade from sugary snacks. After all, they come from nuts. They're natural, plant-based, full of protein. But here's the reality that most older adults never hear. A lot of store-bought nut butters aren't doing your heart any favors. In fact, they're silent threats disguised as wholesome comfort foods. As you enter your 60s and 70s, your body simply doesn't break down food the way it once did. Your metabolism slows down, your blood vessels lose elasticity, and your heart must work harder to keep a steady rhythm, especially under stress from the wrong foods. What you spread on your breakfast toast has more impact now than ever, and nut butters that are packed with added sugar, sodium, and unhealthy oils may be slowly harming your arteries, even when you believe you're eating clean. Let's take a look inside that jar. Most commercial nut butters, especially those labeled creamy, no stir, or designed for kids, contain added sweeteners, hydrogenated oils like palm or soybean, and salt. These additives may improve texture and shelf life, but they can wreak havoc inside your cardiovascular system. Here's what happens. Sugar triggers insulin spikes, which lead to fat buildup and chronic inflammation in your vessels. Hydrogenated oils, loaded with omega-6 fats, throw off the body's natural balance and worsen stiffness in your arteries. And sodium, as you already know, raises your blood pressure and increases fluid retention. 2 tablespoons of the wrong nut butter could sneak in more than 190 calories, 3 to 4 grams of added sugar, and 150 plus milligrams of sodium before you've even layered on jelly or grabbed a slice of bread. I'll never forget Mr. Glenn, 80-year-old retired watch repairman from San Antonio, Texas. He had managed his blood pressure for years and took his medication faithfully. Since his wife passed, he lived alone and tried to eat simply. When he came to see me with complaints of chest tightness and fatigue, we ran his labs and found elevated LDL cholesterol and inflammatory markers that had spiked. He was confused. "I haven't had fast food in months, Doc. I gave up desserts." But then we discovered something unexpected. Glenn had replaced his sweets with large spoonfuls of peanut butter, sometimes straight from the jar, often paired with honey. "It's better than eating cake," he said. We checked the label on his favorite brand. Sure enough, it contains sugar, palm oil, and close to 200 milligrams of sodium per serving. What he thought was a healthy treat was actually contributing to arterial stress and inflammation. Glenn's situation isn't unique. Many older adults make what seem like smart food swaps, but are unknowingly misled by product labels. Natural doesn't always mean clean. No cholesterol doesn't equal heart-friendly. We made a simple switch, 100% peanut-only butter, no salt, no additives. We limited it to 1 tablespoon a day, ideally with apple slices or whole grain crackers. After 2 months, Glenn's cholesterol came down, his energy improved, and the chest pressure faded away. I thought my comfort food was helping me, he said. Turns out it was slowly hurting the very thing I was trying to protect, my heart. That's why I'm sharing this now. If you're over 60, remember, your heart isn't reading the label. It only feels the pressure it's under. So before you reach for that spoon or spread, ask yourself, is this truly supporting my heart or just satisfying a craving that's costing me more than I realize? Because if just a few spoonfuls can stir up inflammation and thicken your arteries, what happens when you dig into a trail mix that looks healthy, but is really a sugar-loaded trap that raises your blood pressure bite by bite? You'll want to find out. The next one may be even more surprising. 6. Trail mix. The sugar-coated snack masquerading as heart-healthy fuel. Trail mix feels like a smart choice, especially for older adults looking for energy without reaching for processed junk. It shows up in hospital kiosks, health food aisles, even in magazines promoting heart wellness. A blend of nuts, seeds, dried fruits, maybe a bit of dark chocolate. It sounds like the ultimate natural snack. But if you're over 60, hear this clearly. That seemingly innocent scoop of trail mix might be undermining your heart health more than you realize. It's easy to assume that anything with raisins or almonds must be good for you, but today's trail mix is a far cry from the simple, balanced mixes hikers carried in the 1970s. Most of what's sold now is packed with added sugars, cheap oils, and excessive salt. The dried fruit, often coated in syrup. The nuts, usually roasted in inflammatory seed oils and dusted with salt. And that dark chocolate, more often processed filler than heart-healthy antioxidant. Now imagine how that affects your body after 60. Your metabolism slows, insulin sensitivity fades, arteries stiffen. So when you snack on a blend that spikes your blood sugar and loads your bloodstream with sodium, you're not fueling your body, you're quietly damaging it. Micro tears in blood vessels, blood pressure spikes, and rhythm disturbances often follow. I think of Mrs. Evelyn, 82-year-old retired social worker from Sacramento, California. She came into my office complaining of dizziness and swelling in her ankles. Her lifestyle was clean, plenty of veggies, no fried food. But as we reviewed her diet, she admitted to snacking on trail mix throughout the day. It helped me get through the afternoon, she said. I thought it was better than cookies. Her eyes welled up as she realized it wasn't. That mix, it turned out, was loaded. Over 250 calories, 15 grams of sugar, and more than 200 milligrams of sodium per serving. Her blood pressure had crept up to 162/96, and her blood sugar was nearing the pre-diabetic threshold. She didn't have a sweet tooth, yet she was eating dessert disguised as a health food. Her symptoms weren't just from aging, they were from inflammation, blood sugar spikes, and fluid buildup, putting her heart under stress it couldn't manage. The fatigue, the swelling, those were red flags, not just signs of getting older. We made a simple swap. Raw, unsalted almonds, unsweetened cranberries, and a few pumpkin seeds, measured carefully into a quarter-cup portion, no more than once a day, never after dinner. 2 months later, her blood pressure dropped. The swelling eased, and she told me, turns out I didn't need sugar. I needed a better routine. Now I snack to support my strength, not silence my hunger. And that's what I want you to hold on to. Just because a snack sounds healthy doesn't mean it's safe, especially in this stage of life, when repeated choices, however small, can lead to serious consequences. So the next time you're tempted by trail mix in a shiny bag or a mason jar on your counter, pause, read the label, tally the sugar. Ask yourself, is this fueling my health or fooling me with sweetness and salt in disguise? Because if a snack meant to energize, you can leave your heart inflamed and overworked. Imagine what happens when a nut you eat regularly slows your digestion, interferes with your medication, and blocks your heart pills from doing their job. The next one is trickier than sugar, and odds are it's already in your kitchen. If you're still watching and learning from this, comment with a number 1 to let me know you're here. Now let's continue with point number 7. 7. Pistachios, the subtle snack that slows digestion and disrupts your medications. Pistachios are small, vibrant, and oddly satisfying. There's a calming rhythm to cracking them open, one by one, as part of your evening routine. For many seniors, they seem like a guilt-free indulgence, natural, crunchy, and packed with heart-healthy fats. But what if I told you that after age 60, those innocent handfuls of pistachios might be quietly slowing down your digestion, throwing off your metabolism, and interfering with how your heart medications do their job? Here's the science most don't hear. Pistachios are loaded with insoluble fiber and phytosterols, plant compounds that, in moderation, can help lower cholesterol. But when eaten in excess, especially by an aging digestive system that's already juggling blood pressure pills, blood thinners, or beta blockers, they can slow stomach emptying, delay intestinal movement, and block medication absorption right when your body needs it most. This isn't commonly mentioned in nutrition labels or doctor visits, but I've seen it over and over in my decades treating older adults. What worked in your 40s or 50s doesn't always work in your 70s. As you age, your digestive system becomes less efficient. The gut moves more slowly, timing becomes crucial, and medications require precise absorption windows. When your stomach is busy breaking down heavy fiber and fat, like that from pistachios, it can push those meds off track. One patient of mine, Mr. Roy, 83-year-old retired trumpet player from Memphis, Tennessee, came in struggling with blood pressure swings. He'd been stable for years on a low-dose ACE inhibitor, but suddenly his numbers were all over the place. Too high in the morning, too low at night. He felt dizzy, foggy, and frustrated. "I haven't changed a thing," he told me, but something had shifted. As we walked through his day, we discovered he'd recently started eating pistachios every night, 2 to 3 handfuls as a replacement for dessert. It seemed like a smarter choice, something his doctor would approve of, and it helped him resist sugary temptations. What he didn't realize was that those late-night pistachios were clogging up his digestion and blocking timely absorption of his medication. Some doses were kicking in too late. Others weren't absorbing at all. His body was out of sync, and his heart was feeling the pressure. We scaled back his intake to a small portion at lunchtime only. We also made sure his medication was taken with water, well away from high-fat or fiber-rich meals. Within 3 weeks, his blood pressure leveled out. He smiled and said, "I thought I was trading a bad habit for a better one. I didn't know the better one came with fine print." That's the lesson most older adults never hear. It's not just what you eat, but when, how much, and what else is happening in your body. At this stage of life, your digestive timing, medication schedule, and heart health are completely intertwined. One extra handful at the wrong hour, and your life-saving pill may never get the chance to work. So the next time you reach for pistachios before bed, ask yourself, is this really helping my heart or blocking the medicine that's trying to protect it? And if a simple nut can slow your stomach and disrupt your prescriptions, imagine what happens when you eat one that's high in potassium, forcing your heart to struggle against your kidneys just to keep beating. The next nut is common, quiet, and even more dangerous. Let's talk about it before it's too late. 8. Brazil nuts, the potassium-packed nut. That could be overloading your heart and kidneys. Brazil nuts have a glowing reputation in the health world, praised for their rich selenium content, healthy fats, and supposed cancer-fighting benefits. They're large, satisfying, and just a few can leave you feeling full and nourished. But if you're over the age of 60, you need to know the truth. Brazil nuts may be quietly overwhelming your system with excess potassium and selenium, placing serious strain on your heart and kidneys without any warning signs, until things take a dangerous turn. These nuts are incredibly nutrient-dense. A single Brazil nut can meet or exceed your entire daily selenium requirement, and eating just 3 or 4 can deliver potassium levels comparable to a whole banana. That might sound great if you're young, healthy, and not on medication. But for older adults, especially those on common prescriptions like ACE inhibitors, such as lisinopril, ARBs like losartan, or potassium-sparing diuretics, like spironolactone. That extra potassium isn't just unnecessary, it can be hazardous. As we get older, our kidneys naturally become less efficient. Their ability to flush out excess minerals like potassium weakens, which can lead to a silent condition called hyperkalemia, dangerously high potassium in the blood. You won't feel pain, you won't get a fever, but once it crosses a threshold, it can trigger a deadly arrhythmia, a sudden disruption in your heartbeat that can lead to cardiac arrest in moments. One of my patients, Mrs. Lucille, 85-year-old retired florist from Des Moines, Iowa, came in for routine labs and a checkup. She seemed well, no complaints aside from feeling a bit more tired lately, but her blood work raised a red flag. Her potassium was high, and her EKG showed slight QRS widening, an early sign her heart was under pressure. She was shocked. "I don't eat bananas, doc. I watch my salt. I don't even take vitamins anymore." But when I asked about snacks, she smiled and said, "I treat myself with tea, just a few Brazil nuts a day. My neighbor swears by them for immunity." What she didn't realize was that those 3 or 4 nuts delivered nearly 300 to 400 milligrams of potassium, plus sky-high levels of selenium. For her aging kidneys, already slowed by medication, it was too much. Her body couldn't clear the excess, and her heart was beginning to suffer. Thankfully, we caught it early. We adjusted her meds, removed the Brazil nuts, and within 2 weeks, her potassium returned to normal. She told me, "I never thought something that small could be so dangerous." And that's the harsh reality. Many seniors are doing everything right, cutting out junk food, walking daily, choosing healthy snacks. But no one warns them that after 60, too much of even a beneficial nutrient can become toxic. Your organs are more sensitive, your system slower, and your buffer zone is much thinner. Brazil nuts aren't inherently bad, but they're incredibly concentrated. And in older adults, potency without caution can become a hidden danger. So if you're reaching for Brazil nuts thinking just a few can't hurt, please stop and reflect. What medications are you on? How's your kidney function? Are you nourishing your heart or placing more burden on organs that are already working overtime? Because if a few nutrient-dense nuts can push potassium and selenium into the danger zone, what happens when you eat a nut that goes to the other extreme, offering almost no nutrition, just empty calories and false promises? That next nut is incredibly common, deceptively marketed, and doing far less for your heart than you think. Let's take a closer look. 9. Mixed nuts. The empty calorie trap disguised as a healthy habit. There's a certain ease in reaching for a can of mixed nuts. It feels sensible, balanced, a little variety. Almonds, cashews, peanuts, maybe a pecan or two. It's the kind of snack you keep by the recliner, offer to company, or toss into your bag for later. For many seniors, it replaces chips or candy, and that feels like progress. But here's the warning no one gives you. That comforting handful of mixed nuts might be offering almost nothing of real benefit, while slowly sabotaging your heart, adding inches to your waistline, and draining your energy over time. Here's why. Most store-bought mixed nuts are far from heart healthy. They're overly roasted, heavily salted, and soaked in cheap, inflammatory oils that erase any natural advantage the nuts may have had. Even worse, budget blends often rely on peanuts, a legume, not a nut, low in heart-healthy fats and higher in pro-inflammatory omega-6s. This throws your body's delicate fat balance off track, something your cardiovascular system is far less able to handle after 60. And this is the part that pains me most. These snacks give older adults a false sense of doing the right thing. You've ditched the candy. You're skipping the chips. But what you haven't been told is that you're still getting high sodium, oxidized fats, and empty calories that do little to protect your heart. One of my patients, Mr. Frank, 79-year-old retired postal inspector from Albuquerque, New Mexico, came in feeling defeated. His weight had crept up. His blood pressure was elevated. His cholesterol was climbing, even though he'd cut red meat and walked every day. "Doc," he said, "I'm doing the right thing. I snack on nuts instead of junk food." We walked through his habits. Every evening in front of the TV, he'd grab a few handfuls of mixed nuts. The can said lightly salted, roasted in natural oil. But once we read the label together, it was clear. Each serving carried over 180 calories, 8 grams of damaged fat, and a hefty dose of sodium. Worse yet, he was eating 2 to 3 times the serving size without realizing it. His aging body couldn't keep up with the sodium swings, the unhealthy fats, or the nutrient imbalance. His arteries were inflamed, his heart under stress, and all the while he thought he was making a heart-smart choice, so we made a shift. He swapped his snack for a controlled mix of raw, unsalted almonds and walnuts, just 1/4 cup per day, eaten with lunch instead of during TV time. No extra salt, no cheap oils, no mindless handfuls. 6 weeks later, his blood pressure dropped by 15 points. He lost 4 pounds without changing anything else. I thought I was eating right, he said, but I wasn't eating for the body I have today. I was eating like I was still 40. That's the truth more seniors need to hear. Your body doesn't need more food. It needs smarter choices, especially when it comes to snacking, especially when it comes to nuts. So before you reach into that can of mixed nuts, pause, read the ingredients, ask yourself, am I nourishing my heart or being fooled by a friendly label while my body pays the price? Because once the damage shows up, it's already done. The silver lining, not all nuts are harmful. When chosen wisely, in the right amount and form, certain nuts can be your allies, strengthening your heart, balancing your blood sugar, and helping you age with clarity and confidence. 10. What nut should you really eat after 60, and how much is actually safe? Reaching your 60s, 70s, or even 80s comes with more than just life experience. It brings the right to care for your body with confidence, not confusion. But when it comes to nuts, far too many seniors are left without clear, honest guidance. After everything we've covered, the hidden salt, the sugar, the gut slowdowns, and the medication conflicts, you might be wondering, is there any nut that's still safe? The answer is yes, but only if you understand this truth. Not all nuts are the same, and not all aging bodies process them the same way. Your digestive system has slowed, your kidneys are more delicate, your heart is less resilient, and the way your body handles nutrients has shifted with time. That means the nuts that once helped you thrive can now weigh you down, unless you choose the right ones, in the right form, at the right dose. When done properly, they can still support your heart, regulate your blood sugar, and fuel your body with gentle energy. Let me show you what that looks like, because I've seen it work time and time again. Take Mrs. Naomi, 82-year-old retired Sunday school teacher from Richmond, Virginia. She came to my office after a minor TIA, a warning stroke. She was frightened and confused. Her lifestyle seemed solid: vegetarian, daily walks, and yes, a heavy daily dose of nuts. But when we reviewed her habits, she was consuming nearly half a cup of roasted, salted mixed nuts each day. Her cholesterol was high, sodium off the charts, blood pressure spiking, especially at night. I thought I was eating clean, she said, overwhelmed. I didn't realize I was making it worse. So we rebuilt her nut routine from scratch, not as a snack, but as a structured, therapeutic part of her diet. Here's what I guided her toward, and what I now recommend to every senior in my care. Almonds. Choose unsalted, soak them overnight, and peel before eating. Stick to 5 to 7 almonds daily. They're easier to digest this way and offer vitamin E and magnesium without upsetting medication balance. Walnuts. Only raw and unsalted. Limit to 2 halves per day. A good source of omega-3s, but too much can throw off heart rhythm. Think of them like a heart supplement. Pistachios. Dry roasted or raw but never salted. Limit to 10 to 12 pistachios, eaten slowly and only with meals. Not as a nighttime snack, as their fiber content can disrupt digestion. Pumpkin seeds raw, unsalted, and limited to 1 tablespoon daily. Rich in magnesium, but seniors with kidney issues should watch their phosphorus levels. Brazil nuts. Avoid altogether unless directed by a doctor. The selenium is too high and interacts with many heart medications. Trail mix and nut butters. Skip both. No chocolate coatings, no added sugar, and only eat nut butters with one ingredient listed: the nut itself. We also created structure: no grazing, Nuts only once a day, always paired with water and consumed during a meal, not in between. 2 months later, Joyce's labs improved. Her cholesterol dropped, blood pressure evened out, and she felt lighter, physically, mentally, emotionally. I'm not scared of food anymore, she told me. I finally feel like I understand what I'm eating. That's the goal, because after 60, your health isn't about cutting out everything. It's about getting clear on what your body truly needs. Treat nuts as functional food, not a casual snack, but a tool. Eat them with purpose. Keep portions small, labels clean, and timing intentional. Let your food serve your heart, not burden it. And remember, at this stage of life, less really is more. But precision, that's everything. Now, if nuts can either protect or harm your heart depending on how they're eaten, what about the rest of your so-called healthy habits? There are 5 big lifestyle mistakes I see seniors make every single day. And if you know what they are, you can avoid them before it's too late. Your heart still has time, and so do you. If you're still here, I want to speak to you not just as a doctor, but as someone who truly honors the road you've walked. By now, you've seen how even the healthiest foods, when misunderstood, can quietly work against your body. But this isn't a message of fear. It's a message of possibility, of clarity, and most importantly, of hope. Over the past 3 decades, I've cared for thousands of older adults, people who've lived full, powerful lives. Veterans, teachers, parents, caregivers, survivors. And despite all they've overcome, many have found themselves blindsided, not by a diagnosis, but by a handful of something they thought was helping, when it wasn't. And it wasn't because they were careless. It was because they were never told the full truth. We've been trained to trust that natural means safe, that plant-based means healthy, that if something was good for us in our 40s, it must still work at 70. But your body evolves even if your habits haven't. And in this phase of life, understanding that evolution can be the difference between struggle and strength. Once you're past 60, your heart doesn't have the same buffers it used to. Your arteries stiffen, your metabolism shifts, your organs, your kidneys, your liver, take longer to clear what you consume. And the smallest food choices begin to echo through your blood pressure, your energy, your medication effectiveness. A handful of nuts is no longer just a snack. It's either a quiet helper or a hidden stressor. The good news? You're not too late, not by a long shot. I've seen people in their 70s and 80s reverse fatigue, drop medication doses, and feel more alive than they had in years, all because they made mindful, manageable changes. No extreme diets, no gimmicks, just awareness, simplicity, intention. I think of Mr. Vernon, 88-year-old retired newspaper editor from Charleston, South Carolina. When he came to me, he was on 4 medications and exhausted. "Doc," he said, "I don't need a miracle. I just want to feel like myself again." We didn't overhaul everything. We adjusted his habits, trading nightly peanut butter toast for something lighter, replacing his snack dish of mixed nuts with 5 soaked almonds at breakfast, realigning his meds with his meals. Most importantly, we gave him back his confidence. 3 months later, he walked into my office with energy in his step. "I'm sleeping. I'm breathing. I'm not scared anymore." That kind of shift, that's what I want for you. Because this isn't just about nuts. This is about how you live the rest of your life. And you do have life left. Precious life. Years worth protecting, years worth enjoying, years where your choices, small as they may seem, can still shape how strong, clear, and free you feel. I've had 95-year-olds walk into my office sharper and stronger than some 65-year-olds. Why? Because they stayed curious. They kept listening. They kept believing they could grow. So please take this to heart. Every bite matters, especially now. Labels aren't always truthful. Marketing isn't always honest. But your body always tells the truth. If you listen, your heart is still open to healing. Even if you've stumbled, even if you've misunderstood, it's waiting for you to give it what it needs. Food isn't just fuel. It's instruction. It's chemistry. It's care. Choose it the way you'd speak to a loved one, with intention, wisdom, and compassion. And if all of this feels like a lot, pause. Take a deep breath. You don't have to change everything at once, just one small step. Maybe that's switching out your trail mix for a quarter cup of raw almonds. Maybe it's skipping the salted cashews and adding a handful of steamed broccoli. Maybe it's simply asking your doctor, will this food affect my pills? Because that moment, when you ask the right question, is when everything begins to change. That's the goal. Not guilt, not fear, empowerment. To eat with clarity, to live with strength, to honor the heart that's carried you through a lifetime of challenges and victories. So tomorrow, when you walk into your kitchen or past that snack aisle, pause, reflect. Ask yourself, am I nourishing my future or just repeating my past? You still have a say in how you feel, in how you age, in how you live. It's not too late. Not at 60, not at 75, not even at 90. Because your next meal isn't just food, it's a chance to heal, a chance to protect what matters, a chance to choose life one bite at a time. Now that you know how to use nuts wisely, let's take the next step. I'm going to walk you through 5 daily habits that every senior should start today. Habits that don't just protect your heart, but sharpen your mind and lift your spirit. Grab a notepad. You'll want to write these down. And before you go, I'd love to hear from you. What stood out to you most today? What's one change you'll make? Drop a comment with the word 1 if this helped you, or 0 if it didn't. Your feedback helps us create better videos for you. And if you haven't already, like, share, and subscribe to our channel for more practical, real-life health wisdom made just for you. Thank you for being here. And here's to living the rest of your life with clarity, strength, and intention.